Okay, so if you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer, crawling out from the other side of having had COVID. I wrote for Pathos for nearly 10 years, a column called No Longer Quivering that had to do with the Quiverful movement. What I do now is I'm working on my book. I'm in the bowels of NaNoWriMo mode, trying to get everything done. And yesterday, new legal documents dropped. Before I get into that, let me say don't bully anybody I talk about. Don't harass them. Don't go real life. I don't believe in going real life with people on the internet. It's just the dumbest thing ever. Okay, I'm sitting here trying to let my hair dry. And all day yesterday, I was thinking about those legal documents. Aaron read them. I believe that Joanne Cochran read them aloud. There were a number of creators that covered this yesterday and covered it well. So I don't think I'm going to necessarily go line by line the documents. Hey, Christine. Hey, what you doing? And I'm not going to cover the documents because they are what they are. They're an answer to KJ's answer to, hey, Carolyn. They're KJ's answer to the whole problems with discovery. 7M wants discovery completely sealed and her attorney being able to see it only for a little while and no photographic evidence or anything like that being taken of. And she wants what she wants, which is not what they're going to do. I think she's hoping to get church documents or documentary. Well, I'm sure that's what she's hoping. I need to tell Aaron it's Shekinah Church, not Shekinah or whatever she's calling it. Shekinah. Shekinah is the spirit of God that is thought to be the female spirit of God because in evangelical thinking, God is mostly masculine, but God does have this feminine side. And there's like the 7 attributes of God, and like Shekinah was one of them. I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. There used to be a song we used to sing called "The God of the Breakthrough" that had the different things. Hey, Bliss Chris. I don't blame them for not wanting to share documents where I wouldn't trust her not to use them. Hey, Dances in the Rain. She never made the distinction between 7M and the church. Why? Which is why she's being sued. Sued. 7M is going to make those distinctions. That's a very, very important thing. I know some people have been saying a lot of stuff about Shekinah, and I've not talked to Robert Shin at all. Hey, Kimberly, I've not given him any information, so I'm kind of halfway waiting for that letter from her attorney saying, please save all correspondence between you and Robert Shin and provide them when we decide we want them. Just so I can say there's no correspondence to share with you. As soon as I realized that Robert Shin was the pastor of a church that was linked with Hillsong, and especially not so much Hillsong as Bethel Redding, for me, that was like, stop the ride. I'm getting off. I don't want any part of this. Because of Bethel Redding, some of their theology is some of the scariest and sickest. Bliss, you can always reach out to me for that. I don't know that I have the answers, but I can help you point you in the right direction. Who knows? But anyway, the awfulness of Bethel and some of the things they teach if you have illness, that it is Satan doing it to you. It's not the fact that you may have had whatever, or you may have just randomly got something like they're catching this stupid virus. I'm fully vaxxed, I'm fully boosted. I wear my masks when I go out. I wash my hands. I use my hand sanitizer. You feel my hands are dried out right now. I stay so many feet away from almost everybody. I still caught this thing. I think Billy Joel brought it here when he stayed with us that week. I think the week before when he was working here for us, or maybe that week he brought it here because we got it right after he left. It was weird. Bethel has definitely incorporated some new age practices, and their ability to blame any illness on any number of dumb demonic things is the thing that really blows my mind. If if we had paid attention to Bethel Redding and their theology, my husband would probably be dead right now. They believe in prayer only. You don't go to the doctor, you pray, you repent of whatever they tell you. And I used to be involved with the healing ministries, the healing rooms out of Seattle that had some similar theology, but not identical. They didn't have the theology that everything you had was from the devil and that you've done something to bring this stuff on you. They didn't have that at all. But a lot of places that teach healing theology have that. And that's one thing that Bethel Redding has made like a standalone pillar. Now, when the whole Olive Heigenthal thing went down, Olive was the daughter of one of the worship leaders uh, at Bethel, the 3-year-old daughter who died mysteriously one day, who just died out of the blue. They hung on to that baby's corpse for a week, praying over it, insisting that God would raise her from the dead. And they even have this group there at Bethel Redding called the Death Raising Team. And they're in their t-shirts like this. We're going to raise people from the dead. Now, am I saying that's impossible? Well, no. You know, if you read your Bible, Jesus said, you'll do things as great as I and greater. But to develop an entire theology around that and to ignore the fact that we live in this fallen world where bad things happen for no reason is just not good. A lot of cults have that same theology as well. Even women who get, yeah, you must have done something, bring that on yourself. Bliss Chris, that is exactly what Bill Gothard and ATIBLP does. They actually have a wisdom booklet that talks about that. How if you are assaulted in that way or anything like that, or somebody R's you, that you have brought that on yourself by something you're doing, saying, wearing, which I just want to say that's another one of those lies from the pit of hell that they love to toss about. Women who are SA'd or R'd, don't bring that stuff with themselves. I don't care if you are walking down the middle of the street naked with a sign around your neck that says, come and get it, boys. If there is no consent, it's a crime. If the woman says, no, you know, I know my sign says this, but you, not you, then that's not a reason. That's not a reason to do those things to somebody. And sure enough, I've heard all kinds of crazy excuses. In fact, I'm still writing my book. Like I said, I'm trying to make the final push with NaNoWriMo because I know I have to write 1,700 words a day and then edit in December. And our church used to feel that way. I have heard that so many times. Well, what did you do? What were you wearing? What were you wearing? What were you doing? What were you thinking? You must have secret sin. Anytime something really bad happened to somebody at the old church, somebody would say, well, you must have some secret sin there somewhere that you're hanging on to that is causing this. And sometimes these things happen. R is always, an SA is always a man deciding to take something that does not belong to him. That only belongs to the person it's happening to, their own sexuality. It's the man doing the action. It's not the woman or child that this is happening to at all. Not at all. Bethel scares me because, like I said, the whole death raising thing, they held on to that girl's body for 7 days, praying for her to be raised from the dead. And finally, the state of California made them turn her over for an autopsy because that's what you have to do when these things happen. And I don't know to this day what they discovered killed that poor baby. And my heart breaks for that mother. to have that happen and then to be sitting on pins and needles for a full week while they're praying round the clock for this baby, raising hope, to finally have to admit to the grave. It seems to me like it was just an extended period of mourning and just torturing themselves over this. I'm not friendly with Roadhog, super fun, Sherry. Everyone thinks because Roadhog apologized for me and I said, thank you, I accept your apology. I'm sorry if I did anything to offend you. Everybody thinks that I'm somehow friendly with Roadhog. That is not true at all. I haven't spoken to Roadhog, not at all. Just the one apology. I just don't do that. Accepting somebody's apology doesn't mean you'll like them or that you hang out with them or any of that. And that's what I can't seem to get anybody to understand. But they're at the other side, they're inventing a bunch of stuff. I want to tell you right now that Shins and all of them they've lied about so many people. You know, the other day I did this humorous thing with the machete and they said, oh, she must not be getting enough DICK. Girlfriend, I wish I wasn't getting any, but I'm getting too much. But it's so silly. Super fun, Sherry, because I would do that with anybody. I would do that with anybody. Anybody I may have offended to make them go off the deep end in the first place, I would do that with anyone. And I would accept an apology. The only way I would not accept an apology is if, like my aunt, I would not accept her apology. She was yelling at my father when he had his stroke and died. Okay. She was fighting with him, and it wasn't even about anything important. She was fighting with him about my grandfather's money because my father was housing my grandfather at the time and he wasn't touching any of his money. So that's the only person I've never accepted an apology from. If somebody issues an apology to me and they're sincere, and I believe he was, then I will say, sure. And said, I'm sorry if I did anything to offend you. It's just what grown-ups and polite people do. It's not brain surgery. It doesn't mean you like the person. I don't, well, super fun. I don't know why anybody would act with him who's been harmed by him. I'm just going to throw that out there. And as I said the other day, I started following Michelle on Twitter just because I was concerned for her. I thought maybe he was abusing her. And if I was friendly with her, if that happened again, maybe I could put her in touch with somebody to get away. Because that's what I used to do. Why do people perceive accepting an apology and apologizing for any part you played as being friendly? It's called adulting and moving on. Listen, Chris, I wish I knew because I'm getting slammed, harassed, driven crazy about this. And the people that don't like Roadhog are using this as some kind of battering ram when it's absolutely, literally not true at all. It's not what I do. Do I talk about him here? Very seldom, very seldom. But the thing that probably a lot of people don't know is she shouldn't be abused. Anybody shouldn't. I've seen no evidence of it, so I don't think it's happening. But then again, I don't know. I'm not in their house all the time. And I have to say this too about Roadhog. And this is not about Roadhog, but this is about some of the people that are inventing lies and saying ridiculous stuff. For about a month before Roadhog's apology, I started getting nasty grams for people with similar names to Roadhog, not the exact same name, but similar. Because I had to stop and look up what names he was going by when this started going down. The kind of vile messaging and death threats that you would expect. And I figured out pretty quickly it was not Roadhog at all. And it was others trying to get me to fight with Roadhog. So I decided I was not going to take the bait. I'm not taking the bait of anybody anymore. I'm kind of done. I'm done with all of it. Yeah, there's a view. Oh, there is. I haven't seen that. Yeah. So that was the reason that I friended her. I thought maybe I could help her. Literally, when I was with No Longer Quivering, we actually one time had a demo of people helping others get away. And I would be more than happy to help anybody getting away from an abusive situation. It's just who I am. I would not want to have my daily life obsessed over someone and post it on Twitter. That is just weird. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. And that's another reason why I'm trying to stick to talking about things with KJ like this lawsuit. This lawsuit fascinates me because I understand what kind of church is, because it's the kind of church that I came out of. And like I said, Erin mispronounces the church horribly. I'm going to have to tell her today because I always cringe when I hear it pronounced like that. You want to sing the God of the Breakthrough and sing the various 7 names of God. The next court date should be interesting. It should be very interesting because they filed asking for a summary judgment. And if the judge looks at all this and says, look at this crap, this person wants financials, they want all the stuff they're not entitled to. I think to me, the most shocking thing about the court documents yesterday was the fact that she wanted medical records going back to 2012, which have nothing to do with her court case at all. Okay, I can see if 7M claimed that forced Robert Shin to have a nervous breakdown, all of this, I could see how she might say medical records proving this, or it's just allegations. I could almost see that, except for one big thing, HIPAA. KJ's lawyer spelled the judge's name wrong. I saw that. So there's so much in there, and so much has happened already that could potentially piss off the judge. And I can tell you right now, if you piss off the judge, it doesn't go well. Once upon a time, I was engaged to this guy who got into a fight with my father. It was the dumbest thing of all time. The guy attacked my father. My father attacked the guy. It was nasty. The cops were called. My father tossed me out of the house. The fiance sped off and left me standing there like some kind of little homeless waif. In 2012, James and Miranda were teens. That's right. And Miranda was back home. She wasn't anywhere near California. So here I am standing on the corner like a waif, and my father is yelling at me from the house. And I got along with my father, except for my fiance when I was engaged to this one guy. And you would have thought he would have loved this guy. This guy was a chemical engineer. He made big money. But he also was kind of arrogant, and he had a drinking problem. At the time, I didn't realize what alcoholism was because I'd been raised around that. So the police come along, they talk to me. I say, hey, I don't have any way to get home. So they brought me home, the cops did, and talked to me the whole way and said, you need to drop this guy and you need to see about getting your father some mental health. So it was kind of funny when it went to court. They both pissed off the judge with their claims, the things they said and the screeching and carrying on. My father and my ex-fiance, because he was an ex at that point, pissed each other off. Hey, Renelle, and I am feeling better. And when it got to me, because I talked to both complaining witnesses, because my father was suing my ex-fiance was suing my father. And they called me up as one of the witnesses after my stepmother and various other people. And I told a very different tale than my father or my ex-fiance. I told a tale that was like right down the middle, said, yeah, there was some fault on both sides. And basically the judge ruled a really crazy ruling. He said, you pay him $200, you pay him $200. And if I ever hear of either one of you even murmuring each other's name, I'm going to throw the book at you guys. So the point of that little story is to say, don't piss off the judge. You don't piss off the judge. If you piss off the judge, bad things happen. And I think that with 7M, the sheer amount of effery that has gone into the paperwork And the reams of paperwork that's been submitted, I would not doubt at all that the judge is getting really tired of this nonsense. Not necessarily from 7M, but from Without a Crystal Ball. You can't submit things like that, expect you're going to win. It seems like last waste of money. It was, Christine. It was. And she has not handed anything over or been forthcoming. I think it's going to go badly for her. And I kind of hate to see that because, like I said, at one time we were friendly. I don't really want to see anything negative happen that impacts the child and the husband. The husband can be as bad as he wants, but he didn't do all this crap. So why should he have to pay for it? What other channels besides Aaron's covered this? A channel that covered it that I saw was, I think it was LB covered it. Excuse me, my brain is still not right after COVID. Yeah, Charlotte covered it. I think Uncivil Law covered it with her. Nikki covered it. The learner lawyer, Joanne Cochran, covered it. A lot of people covered it. It just is one of those things that everybody's going to talk about a little bit. And like Aaron read the document and others did too. So I don't see the benefit of doing that. Like I said, I was just shocked by a few of the things that were in there. I was shocked by the request for the medical records going back to 2012. She has no right to any of that. And I hope that the judge rules against her, doesn't give her any of this, because she certainly gleefully bragged that she's trying to get these things for the documentary she's part of. I don't know, man. It seems to me like she's just ginning up the judge and trying to make the judge lose her mind. Why would you ever hate to see something negative happen to her? Clover, the reason is because it will financially affect the child. That's the main reason. If it was just her, I would say, go ahead, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. But I don't want to see the child living in a cardboard box under the interstate. I just don't. No kid deserves that. That's the reason. She has been given so much grace and chances, and this is going to be bad. She made up so much of what she claims, so I didn't quite know what she's looking. Christy, I think she's fishing for evidence. Oh, the documents approved as K-Jack and her own attorney, and therefore prove she's a fool for a client. Roundtree, I think that's so. I think she's the one driving a lot of these documents and doing. Yeah, it is. Now it is. But you know something? If you have a client that won't listen to you at all, what can you do? That's about it. I've seen lawyers dump people for all kinds of reasons, and not cooperating and not shutting up is one of them. Well, Todd can get a job, and you know the stars will make sure his medical will be taken care of. That's true. That is very true. You know, part of me thinks that the child would be better off just with Todd somewhere else. They do need to, the state. Yeah. Her and Todd both capable of working outside the home. Why do people act like YouTube is their only option for a job? Lainey, I wish I knew that. Okay. Because before she went to YouTube, she wrote for Pathos. And before that, she held any number of jobs. Now, writing for Pathos was not a lucrative thing. It was at first for me. I made enough bank to make it worth my while, but the last 3 years or so were just awful. They kept cutting our wages. Yep, Joanne Cochran covered them. She is an Australian in law school. That's exactly right. I also think she's writing a lot. If I were a lawyer, I would sign the name of the document. Same thing here, Christine. It just reflects badly. We're now Todd and his guitar making. He puts together guitar kits. He's not genuinely making guitars. My ex-husband used to genuinely make guitars. And there's more than buying kits on eBay and Amazon and gluing them together and then pretending you're making guitars. They would be better off. Where is the Mormon to set aside the motion? She did not file that. She seems to act like they're going to go hard with this and they're going to win, and that she doesn't have to set aside the default judgment at all. I doubt he's making that much money from it. Yeah, so it is funny that it is a hobby, I think. I think it's an expensive hobby that he may be trying to turn into a career. The way the following read, Katie didn't write this for herself. It feels like someone with legal knowledge wrote it. It may be a combination. It may be a combination of Katie saying all these things and the lawyer putting them all together. I don't think he's making enough money to live off that either. I really don't. And the reason that I say that is once upon a time, I decided that I would chuck my decent career and I would make a living making stained glass and working at the local arts studio and quilt store. And while I sold some things, let me tell you something. It is really hard to make a living doing artisan work. It just is. If they think it's not important enough to file, that is unbelievable. I would absolutely look for a completely different firm to see if I could withdraw counsel based on the missed deadline. Now, that would be the sensible thing, but this is KJ we're talking about. That's not a sensible thing for KJ. Boutique guitar making is really niche. It is very niche, and the people that buy those niche guitars are very particular about it. Very particular. I got to see that with my ex 40 plus years ago when he was doing it as kind of a sideline. I think KJ did a cut and paste job on the filing. Christine, there's some errors in it that make me believe that that's very likely. The best way for the motion for default judgment to not survive would be new counsel. That's exactly right. And we don't want her to do that. We want her to stupidly stumble around like she is now and for it to be a default judgment. Oh, and I can't believe the way she's acting. If it were me and I had a multi-million-dollar judgment against me, I would try to be acting like we have seen Tati Westbrook. Tati, love her or hate her, did the smart thing. And I gotta tell you, every time I see the woman, I'm like, wow. Even if I see her without makeup on, she's one of the most naturally beautiful people I've ever seen, at least to my eye. I look at her and I'm like, hi, goals to look that gorgeous without makeup as she does. So the motion is pretty ridiculous, and I don't think it's going to do her any good. She's still talking about 7M. They're going to keep adding that to the lawsuit if the lawsuit goes on. They've already had to edit and amend their petitions a number of times because she keeps talking about them. She obviously has learned nothing. There's nothing to be gained from any of this. I don't know, man. Hey, Fernando. I don't quite know. So let me throw this out here. If you haven't been paying attention, COVID rates are going up again. So I encourage anybody, do the things you're supposed to do to make this thing go away, because I'm afraid we're going to see another wave come this winter from everyone else. That demand for discovery is a farce. Oh, most definitely. It is a huge farcical thing. I think that it's ridiculous. I think she ought to sue her lawyers for not providing value. Do you think that the default judgment will actually be better for KJ than going to trial and losing and then owing a lot more for damages than lawyers' fees? So one could maybe, yeah, the 1 million would be cheaper for her. I think if she goes to trial, it is going to be just ridiculous, and it's going to be way more than $1 million. I just have a feeling. You're getting booster number 5 tomorrow. Excellent day. Excellent day. We don't know how we got this. We think maybe the guy we brought in here to do some work for us brought it. I mean, that's the only thing we could figure. We've been very good about trying to stay away from everybody and having the social distancing and all of that. And we still got it. And I gotta give the shout out to the health clinic we go to because they um they really took real good care of me, especially because I counted up, I have like 5 health conditions that that made me high risk. So they kept listening to my lungs. I kept coming in. They ran tests on my heart. They kept monitoring my vitals to see where I was. And once I made the turn and started recovery, and I didn't go in until I'd already had the 6 days because I thought I had a bad cold. If 7M wins the default judgment, she'll be called to sue her attorneys due to missed deadline. She also gets to claim victim. That could happen. I don't know what's going to happen with this thing. I do know one thing. I'm not involved in this at all. I'll be kind of half waiting for our lawyers to slap us all again with the emails that say, hey, preserve your correspondence with Robert Shin, just so that I can email back and say, there is no correspondence with Robert Shin whatsoever. Now, there are some in the community that are talking to Robert Shin. I'm just not one of them. Good evening. Good evening to you in Norway. That Discovery Channel was riddled with errors. It always is. Oh, demand. Okay. Yeah, it always is. A lot of the things. There says no way she can blame her default on her attorney, in my humble opinion. Riddell, probably not. They're probably going to say, look, we were just rubber stamping the papers for her. We're not actively involved in her defense. So I don't think she's going to be able to claim it either. I think that Graham Crackers probably has some way of protecting himself. I wouldn't doubt that he made her sign some type of default agreement that says, hey, I am advising you in an advisory capacity only and providing documents only. And if something happens, that's on you. I wouldn't doubt that at all. He's not stupid. Notice KJ tried to demand correspondence with non-parties to the suit. It's like her hilarious email she sent everyone before. Fernando, I got one of those emails. And it demanded that I save correspondence with Katie, which she had deleted all that. There was no way for me to pull it up again. So I told him, I said, she has that, not me. He wanted all my correspondence with Steve. I said, court order through a Costa Rican court or no. And just basically wanted any notes that I'd taken towards possibly writing a book or anything. He wanted all of that. They wanted all of that. It was like, nope, court order, it doesn't happen. She doesn't seem to hire lawyers with the right experience. It's no wonder there are errors. I think she's cheaping it, Christine. I think rather than hiring a couple legal sharks I've heard of that handle these internet cases, she's like, well, who can I get that's cheap? And I thought about that yesterday, especially after someone posted a list of legal fees. $400 an hour? Please. I was paying more than that to my attorney in Virginia 30 years ago. Like Uncivil said, the most important thing was for her to file a reason for her not getting a response in an appropriate time. But in true KJ fashion, she knows best. Of course, KJ knows best. That will be her. If she ever does a reality show, they'll have to call it KJ Knows Best, because it will be a ridiculous pile of judging everybody. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know everything. I don't even claim to possibly know everything. There's just no way. And to say that you can't learn anything, that all your opinions are correct, is short-sighted and immature, because everyone's opinions on everything evolve. As you gain life experience and you're moving through things, your opinions change. I've had several opinions that have changed based on what's going on. The discovery demand seemed like it was right out of Graham Martin's copy-paste packages. It did, Fernando. I was pretty sure it was, because it was utterly ridiculous, some of the things that were said, and the way it was worded and put together. I don't think that there was much lawyer involvement at all with those pages, and there were so many of them. It wasn't I don't think that there was much lawyer involvement at all with those pages, and there were so many of them. It wasn't succinct at all. Renelle, I saw your video too, your newest one. Excelente. We need to keep talking about the fact that in the Marvon McRae thing, there is a victim. There's Marvon. And by the virtue of who they are, his wife and his kids, his mother, everyone in that family is suffering. And it breaks my heart that there are people that have been torturing family members for views, for clicks and coin. Clicks and coin. Really tragic that that's going on. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. I'm running out of oxygen again. Can you believe that? I want to get over this crap so badly. You just don't have a clue. It's just the worst. So wash your hands. Wash your hands. I am washing my hands. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.